What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Beyond Basecamp. Today we have an incredible episode lined up for you. This is Cajua Robinson. As you know, it's insurance for the doers. Kajua's a doer, and today he's going to be teaching us all about e-commerce. So, hope you get something great out of this, and thanks for listening. When I hear, well, first before we get into all of it, right? Just a little bit of catch up for our viewers and listeners. You know, right now we're going to be talking about e-commerce and your unique approach to it, right?
Yep.
But how the big thing for us is the story and the journey of how you got there in the first place. Like,
For sure.
We're going to get to Beyond Basecamp, but how did you
Yeah.
even set out on this in the first place?
Yeah. So the way I tell the story, and this is actually how it happened,
Yeah.
is one of my best friends from high school and my current business partner, Josh, he sent me a YouTube video.
Okay.
It was about a guy doing private label on Amazon, which I'll explain further.
Yeah.
But he sent me a YouTube video of a guy selling stuff on Amazon, and he said, I think we can do this. I watched the video, and I said, let's do it. And
Very
so
cool.
that was in 2017, and we had just done some network marketing stuff in high school. So 2017, I guess we were sophomores or juniors in college.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of coming out of the network marketing thing, had a good experience, had the itch for business, if you will. But we had stopped doing that.
Right.
And we're kind of looking for something else to try.
Very cool.
So yeah, he sent me the YouTube video, said, let's do it. And then
Yeah.
within a couple weeks, we made a LLC, started doing product research and development, launched one product that was a learning experience. We
Right.
broke even, lost a couple $100 somewhere in there. And then we launched we did a lot of product research again, maybe over a period of a year. Mm-hmm. Mind you, we're still in college at this point, so it's very
Right.
much a side hustle.
Right.
Launched a second product that took off during COVID lockdown.
Okay.
And then, let's see, so that would have been 2020. And then like 2021 is when we really started taking it seriously after
Right.
kind of getting that proof of concept.
Okay.
And then that's when I went full time into the business.
Right. So as a little bit of background, Kaj and I met at a gym.
Yep.
And I'll never forget because we were just talking and hanging out and having fun and everything.
Yeah.
And you started talking to me about bat boxes.
Yeah, the Bat House.
And I was like,
Yep.
I went home, I was telling Adrian about it. And,
Yep,
and I was like, dude, Kaj is talking about like selling bat boxes. Like
Yeah.
he definitely has an entrepreneurial itch, but bat boxes, I never heard of that being your first business. So,
Yeah.
so was that, when you say different products that you've looked at, was that the first one that went serious? Or
That was the second one.
That was the second one.
The first
Okay.
product was a pocket blanket, which is essentially a tarp for
Yes.
camping that just
Okay.
folds up a special way.
Okay.
It's a tarp.
Yes.
And then a bat house is, think of a birdhouse,
Yes.
but redesigned for bats.
Okay,
so
very
it's the
cool.
same concept as a birdhouse.
Yeah.
So we did our product research. The numbers were decent. Got them manufactured in China. Got them shipped over to an Amazon fulfillment center in the U.S. And I want to say we sold between 5,000 and 6,000 of them in
Wow.
2020. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And so that was exactly, that's what we said. We said, wow,
Right.
this is crazy. And it worked. And
Like this is real now.
this is real. Like, okay, this works.
Yeah.
We had to pivot from bat houses because of how the global supply chain was just destroyed.
Right, yeah.
So one, the cost of wood tripled 4x,
Yeah.
and it's literally just a wooden box.
Right, yeah.
So that alone,
Problematic.
alone $8 margin,
Right.
and the cost of international shipping,
Yes.
like 4x as well.
Wow.
So there's just no more margin left.
Right. Okay.
So then, end of 2020, we pivoted from the bat houses into doing arbitrage, which is just buying something low in one micro marketplace
Right.
and then selling it for a profit in another micro marketplace.
Right.
So what that looked like practically was, it started out as going to Goodwill, going to Marshall's, going to TJ Maxx,
Really?
scanning stuff on the Amazon app,
Yes.
figuring out if it's selling based on the data that it's giving us,
Yes.
and then buying it for $5-10, flipping it for $20-30, and just keep snowballing your capital.
Wow. Have
Yep.
you ever had that go the other way on you where the Amazon app was telling you one thing and then you loaded up on that item and then in reality it didn't push through?
Yeah, there's so many different factors in
Right.
regards to how fast a product's going to sell, because in arbitrage, you're going to have multiple people selling the same thing.
Right.
So what has happened to us many times is, let's say just to keep the numbers easy, a listing is selling 100 units a month for, let's just say it's like a pair of shoes, right? Pair of shoes, it's selling 100 units a month. That's what the data's showing. It'll be a rough estimate, but 100 units a month. And we're like, all right, we're going to buy 10 and let's see what happens.
Okay.
But then let's say 100 other people also see the same product. Now, the listing, the demand for the product hasn't changed. It's still selling 100 units a month, but now there's 1,000 units of supply. Basic laws of supply and demand. Price comes crashing down.
You got 100 shoes you don't want.
You don't make any. You don't make any money.
Right.
So that's part of the game too.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now we'll get more into the details of all that,
Yep.
but you mentioned having a business partner.
Yes.
I get that question all the time because I would say I'm lucky enough to have a business partner. Tell me a little bit about that dynamic for the two of you. And it sounds like this is not your first venture. You were doing stuff in high school together and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fill us in on that dynamic and what would you say are the pros and cons of having a partner
For
in
sure.
business?
So we got really blessed with the relationship that we have, because going into it, right, we're just friends. We don't know anything about business, and people tell you not to do business with friends, which I
absolutely
completely disagree with.
Same.
So the way I describe our relationship now, from a working relationship, is have you read the book Rocket Fuel?
Oh, absolutely. It's Gino Wickman.
So Josh is the visionary and I'm the integrator, and that's just kind of how it ended up working out.
Very
we didn't
cool.
plan it that way, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
And so that, if the listeners are familiar with the book, that's kind of how our dynamic is. Even just with the whole ideation thing, right? Like Josh is the guy looking for the ideas, he found it, and then I'm like, okay, let's make it happen.
Right.
And same thing when we pivoted from bat houses into arbitrage. Once again, Josh watching YouTube videos, doing research, he's like, all right, I think this is the move we need to make, and I'm like, okay,
right,
let's make it happen.
Incredible. So
yeah.
One of the things when you said he sent you this YouTube video was how many YouTube videos has Josh sent you, and how, as the integrator, because we have that same dynamic, we have that here, as the integrator, where did you look at the different things and say, all right, I appreciate the vision for this, but I'm not excited about this, or hey, on this one, I really believe this to be a legit viable option here. We should take a look. How many of those videos had you been sent, and what made this one stand out for you?
Interesting. The first video he sent, I mean, again, we weren't thinking about any of that. It was kind of just, let's test it out. And the other thing with the video, when we first got into business, the guy had, I believe, a $500 course, like A to Z on how to do it.
Yes.
Paid $500 for the course. Very legit. We just followed it step by step front to back, and that's how we learned everything. With other stuff, I mean, there's been, I guess, tons of different directions we've looked at going, but we've also been pretty consistently on the same page in regards to the kind of direction we want to go.
Oh, that's a gift for sure.
Yeah, we communicate pretty regularly. So
That's probably the key to that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Celebrating the differences of those realities and everything. Yeah.
Communicating regularly and having a high amount of trust and transparency.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What has been maybe a difficult thing about having a business partner for you in that process?
Whew. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, me and Josh both say regularly, if he didn't have me or if I didn't have him, we would not still be doing this.
Oh, that's
hands
awesome.
down.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's, I don't know if there's been anything that's been particularly difficult.
Right.
I mean, business itself is difficult, but I don't know if there's anything I could pinpoint as being, this would be easier if I didn't have a business partner.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have the relationship and the trust already. It wasn't like that had to be fostered.
And especially in the early days, it's like, even just having someone to talk to would be like, I can't believe we just sold a bat house on the internet.
What are we doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, so
nice.
It's definitely a blessing for sure.
All right, cool. So as these bat houses are going, walk us through like that feeling of when you first realized this might actually be serious and this might actually be part of our future.
Bat houses were definitely the biggest proof of concept that we had, because then we realized, I think for the year we maybe did just under 100,000 in revenue, which is nothing crazy, but it's nothing to scoff at. That's
absolutely. Yeah.
That wasn't just you went to Marshall's once. That's okay. We did something that's
You're
consistent.
working at this.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we could, and with the bat houses, that's the private label side of things, which is you design your product And obviously there are other bat houses on the market, but we designed and branded our own.
Oh, very cool.
And so it was like we could do that with other products too. And if we had 10 products that do the same as bat houses, then you're approaching a 7-figure business. And it was like, okay, so we now see the path forward to making it something that could be full time.
Right.
But then we pivoted from that into arbitrage, like I was saying. And I guess around spring of 2021, we took another guy's coaching program on how to scale arbitrage. And we took that, and then we went from doing around 15,000 to 20,000 revenue months to doing like 50,000 plus revenue months.
Right.
And then once we were doing that for like 6 months straight, that's when we realized like, okay, this is
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when it was, we need to give it full-time attention.
Right.
Because we had both been doing it on the side. Like I was still managing at iCore, and Josh was and still is a full-time physical therapist.
Right.
So we were both kind of just doing it on the side. And then once we got to that point, it was like, okay, we need to either take this full-time serious or just stop doing it because it's not worth the effort.
Right.
And then that's when I was like, all right, just going to send it.
Wow. Very cool. Send it. I like that. Yeah.
Just send it.
He's been sending it for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said something that stood out to me in the last little bit there. You've taken 2 online courses.
Yep. Yes.
My first question with that is, how do you weed through the noise? I mean, it seems like everybody is a life coach.
Right.
Everybody's got a course.
Yeah.
How did you weed through the noise of that and pick a course in the first place?
So the first one we took, there was no weeding through any noise because I didn't even know there was noise.
Okay.
It was also only $500. And we went in 50-50. So we split the course, and then we also, I think we put in maybe another $1,000 or $1,500 to purchase the inventory.
From the course giver, or just your own
from
inventory
the supplier,
to do the work?
From our own inventory. So we split it 50-50, and it was cheap enough that we were both aware that if it totally flopped, like, it's not the end of the world.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of like just the first test.
Right.
The second one, I was actually much more hesitant to take because I felt like we kind of knew what we were doing and we just needed to do more of the same.
Okay.
But in hindsight, I wasn't aware of my blind spots.
Yes.
And I don't know exactly what we did to weed through the noise. It was a guy that we follow, and I actually have met him in person. I would call him an acquaintance / friend now. But he just had proof of concept himself. Like, we could see, he was kind of transparent with what his business was doing and how long he's been in the game.
Right.
So I was like, okay, he's done it. I can see that he's currently doing it. So let's just. It's one of those things where it's like you kind of got to pay to play,
Yeah.
And you have to, if you never just go for it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So.
But the fact that that's almost like, to me, that's almost heads in the direction of apprenticeship, which I believe in extremely.
100%.
Like
100%.
You were learning from someone who's done it.
Yes.
Not from someone who read a book about it.
Correct.
And is therefore selling you that course in a different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that, there's a humility that comes from saying, I need to learn this.
Yep.
Is that something that has served you and Josh well this entire time? Just that, like, learner's mindset, basically? Is that something you still apply?
You have to, especially in e-commerce, because the industry is changing so rapidly.
Right.
So one of the things that helped us scale when we took the coaching program is not only the knowledge we learned from the coach, but also being in an environment of other people who are just as invested into the growth of their business as we are.
Right.
And then getting more vocal in the Amazon e-commerce online community and learning and sharing knowledge with other people.
So in that community, there's a lot of sharing of knowledge?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Tons.
So it's not a competitive in the sense, well, if you have success, I won't. It's more of a rising tide type environment? Like, let's learn from each other?
In regards to knowledge, yeah. You definitely don't want to share all your products.
Right, sure.
And that's partly because of what I explained before with the micro markets, right?
Yes.
Like, if everyone knew everyone's products, then everything would just tank because the market would get oversaturated.
Right.
But from a knowledge perspective, there's no real need to not share stuff.
Right. Okay, cool. And then you mentioned you've gotten to know the course creator.
Yes.
And have you guys ever had conversations about how many people have taken that course?
Oh, yeah.
And done zero with it, basically? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's plenty, because
Right.
you have to take action.
Right.
It's not a done for you.
Right.
It's a here's what I did, here's how to do it, and I'll coach you through it when you have questions.
Right.
That's how any coaching is.
And did you line it all up before?
You can't go to the gym and have a personal trainer and then just sit and watch him work out.
That's right.
You have to work out.
That's right. You actually have to do it too.
You actually have to work out, yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
Did you line it all up beforehand? Like, hey, the course has to do all these things, so here's A to Z and let's go? Or did you take step A, then take step B?
I mean, we were already in the process of taking the steps.
Yes.
And then the coach, because there was weekly calls, there was one-on-one calls, there's the group forum, and just picking up whatever tidbit that we need to add in or what we're not doing, changing, tweaking a little bit here. And the main thing in an arbitrage Amazon business is consistently finding good inventory. Because whenever you're flipping stuff, every product has a limited life cycle, and in arbitrage it's much shorter. So some products you might only be able to buy it profitably once, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a few months. And so you have to constantly be finding new inventory.
Wow.
And so that was the main thing that he helped us with, was just learning how, we call it sourcing.
Right.
Just learning how to source good inventory consistently.
Yes.
Because it's very much a business where you have to spend money to make money. It's not a service-based business where you get clients, you get the money, and then you deliver. It's inventory-based. So you have to buy the inventory, and then it sells.
Right.
But you have to find it before you can buy it.
Right. So I want to kind of pause on that for a little bit because, like, one of the reasons I want to have Cajua on is because we hear all the time, we have clients that are that have scaled their business. We have clients that are third generation. We hear all the time about how this is how we've always done it.
Right.
And it seems like there's an occasional check-in to make sure that we're evolving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your business is
it's
constant evolution.
Constantly.
So I think some of our viewers and listeners might hear that and have like agita over how do you reinvent every week, every month?
Yeah.
So walk us through some of what that looks like, because there can be a comfort of saying, hey, I keep doing this over time. It's going to grow, that kind of thing. And maybe not reinventing all the time. So it could sound stressful to have to reinvent that much. I think we all have to say, relevant.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So walk us through that a little bit. What are some of the pros and cons of having to be in that situation where you are constantly reinventing?
Yes. I would say for us, up until we're in 2024 now, which is crazy. Until the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, all of our pivots were somewhat forced.
Okay.
Coming out of network marketing and transitioning into college, we just didn't have the time to do it, amongst other things as well. And then with going from the first product to the second product, like the pocket blanket, the first one just didn't work. The bat houses worked, but then there was COVID, so now it's no longer profitable. And then we had capital that we wanted to deploy quickly, but the problem with the bat houses is also the cash flow cycle's long, because it takes 30 days for them to manufacture, 30 days for it to get here, 30 days before enough sell for us to break even.
Right.
So long cash flow cycle. So we wanted to shorten our cash flow cycle.
Okay.
Which is why I went to arbitrage.
Yes.
I can go to Marshall's, I can send it to Amazon the next day, and it can sell in a week or two, and then I can do it again.
Right.
So those pivots were all forced, and then there are a couple different types of arbitrage. So I mentioned the Marshalls, going to stores a couple times. Then you can do the same sort of thing, but buy from online retailers.
Okay.
And then the next step up from that is buying from wholesalers and distributors. So just buying the same sorts of product, but in bulk.
Right.
And so then we added that into our business model in 2013.
Okay.
And that pivot was because it's easier to spend more capital quickly.
Right.
Which is the name of the game.
Right.
So that's why we pivoted there. And then now our most recent pivot, which is the one that I'm the most excited about, is partnering directly with brands.
Okay.
So still selling someone else's inventory, but doing it in a way where we have an exclusive relationship with them, and also provide some agency kind of things as well, which would be running Amazon PPC advertising, updating their listings if they need updating, making sure that their supply chain on Amazon is legit. So it's like we're the only seller, not multiple sellers, that the price isn't tanking,
right,
that the brand perception is stable, that sort of stuff.
Right. Interesting. So we have clients right now that are exploring e-commerce as another distribution method, right? So
Right.
they're not maybe as all in per se, but they're starting to explore it and evolve into those channels.
Right.
What I hear on the regular is, views that aren't, not views, reviews that are not real.
Fake reviews.
Yeah, fake reviews, and just there's almost a bit of frustration with how do you weed through the noise again to get to great products that have great use in the marketplace and are real and have been around forever.
Yeah.
So can you give some guidance on that for people that might have a really sustainable product that's maybe a third generation business that's been making lanterns and that kind of thing? How do they stand out in the noise of what they can feel is happening online?
Well, I'm going to butcher this quote, and I'm sure you know it too, but it's like the best marketer wins, not the best product. And so you have to be, your product has to have attention.
Right.
And then after that, it's a numbers game in terms of how many reviews you're going to get. A certain amount of people will leave reviews, so you have to get a certain amount of sales.
Right.
Kind of thing. I know Amazon, I'm not as familiar with how, reviews, if you're selling on your own website, how you can go about removing those reviews. But Amazon's pretty good at cracking down at fake reviews.
They are.
Yeah, and
Okay.
if a product has a lot of reviews, it'll be very easy to tell which ones are real people and which one is either a bot or someone from China trying to sabotage your listing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And with Amazon, like that comes up all the time, right?
Yeah.
Massive distributor at the end of the day.
Yep.
Do you ever feel like you're also competing against them occasionally?
Yeah, so there are some products where Amazon themselves is also selling it.
Right.
So I literally just bought a product from one of my distributors earlier this week, and the listing it's selling like 4,000, 5,000 units a month, and Amazon's selling it, and maybe 10 to 20 other wholesalers are also selling it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
It's getting crowded.
It's crowded.
Yeah.
But it sells very quickly.
Okay.
So when there's high velocity, I'm willing to do that.
Okay.
On Amazon, it's called the buy box. So when you go and you click buy now,
Yes.
it rotates through different sellers based on many factors, the biggest one being price and fulfillment method.
Okay.
And so I can, with the tools that I have, I can go in and see which seller is getting which percentage of the buy box. So if I go to a listing and it says Amazon has 100% of the buy box, I'm not touching it. But like this one, they had, I think, 20% of the buy box. So like, okay, the buy box is rotating between different sellers.
Yes.
So I can
How do
get a
you
size of the buy.
climb your way up that?
Like I said, the main determining factor in winning the buy box is going to be price.
Okay.
So if I can source it cheap enough to sell it at the average historical price, then I'm good.
Then you get it and you go for it.
Exactly.
But with the speed of the transactions, and you mentioned velocity, just that's, sell through and how fast and all those things.
Yep.
At the speed in which you're operating, how do you create a recurring, repeatable process that can also keep up with that speed?
Yes. So again, that's going to depend on the products when it comes to arbitrage, just flipping stuff.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why we're pivoting to brand direct.
Okay.
Because now I'm getting the product direct from the source, direct from the manufacturer.
Yes.
And I know that I can buy it consistently and have it in stock all the time.
Right.
And these kind of relationships can last for a year, 5 years, 10 years.
Okay.
And I'm not worried about the price tanking. That's what we call it, price tanking.
Right, yeah.
So I'm not worried about other sellers coming onto the listing. At that point, we're worried about actually how is the brand and the product itself doing. And our competitors are now similar products
Right.
and not other sellers on the same listing.
Right. Is that where this became to, like, for you guys, like you've made the jump, you're doing it full time.
Right.
And your business partner is hopefully,
Yeah.
planning, has similar plans shortly and things like that. But is that where you started to partner with brands? Is that where you started to say, like, okay, long term, this is going to be our business model within this environment?
Correct. And the reason for that is there are many reasons, and it's changed as I've thought about business differently.
Okay. What
And
do you mean?
So the two main things that have changed in how I've thought about business, when we were first starting, it's like, we just got to figure out how to make it work. We're just
Yeah,
going to plow
yeah.
forward. It's
Survival.
It's survival. It's sweat equity.
Yes.
It's just,
Yes.
continuing to press buttons until something sticks.
Right.
And now it's, how do I increase leverage
Yes.
and picking the problems that I want to solve? With arbitrage, we've already talked about some of those problems in terms of price tanking, products not lasting for a long period of time,
Yes.
always having to find new products.
Can I on that? Would
Yeah.
you encourage other people to explore arbitrage, even though
100%.
Yeah. Why is
100%.
that? Even though it's
Low barrier to entry.
gotcha.
Low
Okay.
barrier to entry.
All right. So if you're thinking about it, that
Yes.
can be a.
You can
okay.
start it quickly, and you can do it with a small amount of capital. Whereas if you end up losing money on a product, maybe you just break even.
Yes.
Maybe you lose a couple $100, right? With wholesale, you have to buy in bigger bulk. So like the order I placed earlier this week, it was about 16 grand worth of the product.
Mm-hmm.
And most people who are just starting out a business or a side hustle, they don't want to put
Yeah,
that sort
go
of
up.
capital into
Right.
one product. And then if it goes wrong, you're screwed.
Right, yes.
So lower barrier to entry.
Okay.
And then the other problem with that is, the way I like to describe it is, we're playing in Uncle Bezos's playground.
Okay.
He sets the rules.
Yes.
And him and his cronies will kick you off the playground if you broke the rules or if they think you broke the rules.
Right. Okay.
And so with arbitrage, there are a lot more ways that the rules can get broken on
Okay.
accident.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that without boring people with the details.
Sure.
And so part of going brand direct is avoiding some of those issues while also increasing the longevity and life cycle of the products, actually providing value to the marketplace. Like, we're helping these brands versus just trying to figure out where there's high demand and low supply.
Sure.
And also increasing the leverage, because then I have a actual relationship with the client.
Yes.
It's a relationship that's long term.
Yeah.
And it's actually, once we get them onboarded, it's a lot less effort to keep it moving forward,
Right.
opposed to arbitrage where I have to find new products every month, every 2 months.
Right. I love that we're sitting here talking about e-commerce, and what you're getting at is that now you're building relationships
Yeah.
with people.
And
So,
that,
you know
and
what I
that's
mean?
well, and that's another reason why I switched.
Right.
Because I know that's what I like to do, and that's what I'm good at.
Yes, you are.
I am not I want to hustle every weekend and go into Marshalls and find product. Now,
Right.
I know people in the space who have multi-7-figure retail arbitrage businesses who
They're walking into retail stores?
They love going into Walmart and clearing off shelves and finding this. They just love being in the grind. And if
Wow.
that's your skill set, by all means.
There's a marketplace
But
for
I
it.
hate it.
Right.
It's terrible.
Right.
It's like I'm sitting in traffic, wear and tear on the car, paying gas. Might go into the store, not even. It's terrible. I hate
Right.
it. Right. I would much rather sit on the phone, get on a Zoom call, talk with a brand owner, hear
Yes.
their pain points, be like, this is how I can help fix those pain points. Let's establish a relationship and build
Right.
something cool.
That's awesome. So right now, as you build the business of e-commerce,
Yeah.
So when I reached out to Cajua, he was like, I would love to.
Yeah.
E-commerce is the future,
Yeah, it's the now.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's the now is a better way of saying it, honestly. But, when are you reaching out to them, or are they finding you, these brands?
Great question. So both.
Okay.
I do a lot of cold outreach, and we actually, this last few weeks, we've been onboarding. One brand we've been in the process of onboarding for a little bit. There have been some hiccups. And then we started onboarding 2 more as well.
Okay.
So right now I'm kind of just focusing on those. Outreach is kind of paused at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I've done some cold outreach, and then I've also had a brand that found us and reached out. And
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
That's
so-
got to feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
validation of what
yes,
you're
it
doing.
is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
What do you look for in a brand? If you're because I'm imagining that's a lot of time and energy.
Right.
So
Right.
what do you look for in a brand where you're like, I want to represent this in that marketplace?
Yes. So the typical brand, and again, thinking about Amazon, and we can talk about multi-channel a little bit too, but specifically with Amazon, the kind of brand that most people who are doing what I'm doing look for, and what we look for as well, is a brand that's already on Amazon.
Okay.
We can already see that the product's selling. Customers like the product, but it's very obvious from a person who knows Amazon that there is major room for improvement.
Okay.
And that can be the listing doesn't have good pictures. It's not well optimized. I can tell they're not running ads.
Yes.
There are multiple people selling the product, but you can tell they're just resellers. They don't care about the brand. And so reaching out to them with the value proposition of saying, hey, I'd like to buy your stuff, I'd like to resell, and I'd also like to build a relationship and provide this additional value as well.
Right. I hope this comes off the right way. How is that any different? Like, I think a company that I think is evolving well in a large retail environment is Dick's Sporting Goods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, they are still a relevant player in the big box space.
Yeah, which is impressive.
But what they're doing, this massive conglomerate company, they're approaching brands that they think have staying power and shelf power, you know. How is that any different? Like, you're operating the same way as gigantic companies.
I would say the difference is they have Nike and Adidas.
Right.
I have no chance of
you
getting
got to find the next Nike.
I have no chance of
the next
getting a
Fiore.
brand direct account with Nike or Adidas. I just don't have the purchasing power.
Right.
Their opening PO is probably $1 million. That's
True.
like that's my yearly revenue.
Right. Yeah. But it lets you operate in a similar model, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can find an athletic apparel company that you really believe in, right?
Yeah.
And are you seeing any sort of like micro niching in that space? Like for example, you mentioned Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Are there brands that are so focused on what they do that does create an opportunity for you?
Yeah.
To almost
one of the brands we just onboarded is very niche. So they're in the home and kitchen space, and it's a small kitchen appliance, and it's actually a product that they invented that is world unique to them, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so then the other type of brand, and this is one that the outreach for this one is a little trickier. It can be hit or miss, but would be a brand that is private label. So, and for the Amazon people, they know what I'm trying to get at. But so take me when I was doing the bat houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I designed the bat houses. They're doing great. They've taken off.
Right.
I'm selling 100 of them a day. And now my next step is, okay, I launched these on Amazon, but I want to go bigger than Amazon.
Right.
I want to get my bat houses in Walmart. I want to get my bat houses in Target. I want to sell on my own website and all that stuff. That's a lot of work to do.
Right.
And I only have so much attention. I need someone to kind of take over the Amazon side of things for me.
Yes.
So I'm going to find a third-party seller that I can sell my product to in bulk, and then they can handle my ads and whatever else in selling the product on Amazon, and then I can focus on the other stuff.
Right.
So that is another kind of brand owner that we're looking to help, is the private label brand that has succeeded very well on Amazon and is now trying to go multi-channel, grow the marketing side of the business, and is just looking to hand off Amazon to someone else.
And you can
and then
take care of that.
Yeah, we just step in. So we buy the product in bulk,
Yes.
sell it on Amazon, and then handle some of the agency stuff too.
Very cool.
Yep.
We have a lot of manufacturer clients, right?
Okay.
And one comes to mind that they basically, is to see if a socket was hot or not for electricians.
Okay.
Someone within the business said, this is just for electricians, but it used to work anyway on Christmas lights. And all they did was remanufacture it with a green casing and a red light on the end and sold it for like Christmas, like how to fixtures.
Oh, that's cool.
It like tripled their business. Look at what Stanley just did with the cups and everything, right?
Yeah.
So we have a lot of manufacturing clients who have their distribution channels that they've been using, right?
Right.
And a lot of them are direct to consumer. They have their own websites. They look great, all those kinds of things.
Yep.
Should they be considering Amazon as part of their distribution recipe?
100%.
And if so, how would you recommend that they do that?
Yeah, so the thing I normally hear in terms of why brands, if they already have things that are established well and they have their own website, but they don't want to go on Amazon, is Amazon doesn't give you 100% of the customer data. And I think there's parts of it that are changing now with some of the different programs that I'm still learning about.
Okay.
But like if you have a Shopify website, every time someone purchases, you get their email address. That's not the case with Amazon.
True. Or Etsy or any of those.
Yes. So that's going to be the biggest drawback for brands. But on the flip side is one thing I found, and I've done this with my cold outreach, is you'll find a brand that has a product on their own website and it's selling decently if they already have attention through whatever other social platform.
Yes.
And then you go on Amazon and you type in the beginning of the brand name or the beginning of the product, and then Amazon auto-fills it in, which means that people are searching for it, but then the product isn't coming up on
Wow.
Amazon. So what that means is people are searching for your brand, and other competitors that are smart are advertising on your brand name keyword and then stealing your customers because they're searching for your product on Amazon and not going to your website.
So your customers are there, and you're not meeting them there, so
Correct.
someone else is going to meet them there.
100%. Yep.
Unbelievable. So we always try and get some very practical stuff. That's insane. Go to Amazon, type in your product, and if it autofills, the demand is there. Is what I'm hearing.
The search volume is there.
Yeah.
The demand is there. Yep.
Wow, interesting. All right, so would you say it's a must? It has to be a part of your distribution methodology?
Yeah, and it's really not that difficult to set it up.
Okay.
You know, like you can set it up yourself. Mm-hmm. You can apply for a third-party seller account. If you already have a business and a trademark, it's not going to take long at all. And then you just can create a simple listing, see if you get traffic, and then if you start getting traffic without a lot of effort, then put in more effort and you're going to see good results.
Right.
The other thing you can do, and this side of the Amazon I'm not as familiar with, is instead of selling it yourself on Amazon, you can sell your product wholesale to Amazon and they'll sell it for you.
They take everything.
Yes. And then the other route is partnering with someone like me. I buy it wholesale and then sell it for you on Amazon.
Right.
Those are kind of the three ways you can do it.
Okay, so two questions for you as we kind of wrap up a little bit. I want to be sensitive to everyone's time, but I think of two people who would probably love to talk to you further about it. One is manufacturers or brands that have a presence,
right,
and they want to explore this.
Yep.
The other is folks who are thinking about doing what you're doing.
Yep.
So if any of those are watching and viewing, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on social media, just my name at Cajua Robinson.
Yeah.
Most active on Twitter, also active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So if you just search my name, you'll find me.
All right, fantastic.
Shoot me a DM and then we'll chop it up.
All right, very cool. And then kind of like a fun last question. Amazon is at the center of so many e-commerce conversations.
Yeah.
Let's just say, hypothetically, there was a point in time Amazon didn't exist.
100%.
So let's say, boom, it just blows up.
Right.
No more Amazon.
Yeah.
How does that change the landscape? Who else remains? And what should people that are doing this be thinking about beyond Amazon?
Great question. And this is another reason why we're going brand direct. Because part of our strategy this year is also, so we're already selling on Walmart. Mm-hmm. Walmart has their third-party seller marketplace similar to Amazon. Mm-hmm. But it's where Amazon was 10 years ago. It's the stone ages of e-commerce right now.
Okay, wow.
Which means huge opportunity because it's only going to get better. So Walmart is on the up.
Yes.
And then the other is going to be TikTok Shop. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yes.
It's blowing up. I don't know how long it'll last, but right now it's like lightning in a bottle.
Okay.
And then the other big platform is going to be eBay, and then there are a couple others as well.
Wow.
But those are going to be the three that we're going to target.
Yes.
And then
TikTok Shop, Walmart,
and eBay.
eBay.
Yep.
So
and
eBay's still a relevant player?
eBay is still a relevant player. eBay's mostly good for used stuff. You can obviously sell new things there,
Sure.
but the marketplace is mostly for used.
Okay.
So what we do right now is any returns and removals from Amazon that we get that we can't resell as new, we liquidate them on eBay. So we keep that dead inventory moving.
Okay.
And then obviously building your own website and selling on that as well,
Yeah.
which is advantageous for a brand, but not for an arbitrage seller.
Right. Yes.
So our goal is that we diversify across platforms. So God forbid if something happens with our Amazon account or just Amazon in general, it doesn't bring our business to a screeching halt.
Right.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And then that's, again, Amazon is at the center of the e-commerce conversation, but it's just a marketplace among many marketplaces.
Right.
But it happens to be the biggest with the most attention.
Right. It's incredible. And I feel like what all of this is doing is leveraging the playing field
100%.
for those who are willing to put in the effort.
Yes. The barrier to entry has never been lower. I mean, you really don't have to be that smart.
Right.
You just got to be willing to hustle and learn from people who've already done it.
Yeah.
I haven't reinvented a single wheel.
Right.
Not once.
Right. You followed the program, right?
I had this conversation with someone yesterday. I said, I'm just trying to put better rubber on the wheel.
Very cool. I like the way that's good.
But I haven't reinvented it. It's still a circle going like this.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And then if you thought if there was anybody that's nipping at Amazon at their heels, who do you think that would be? Is there anybody coming up that maybe the general marketplace isn't hearing about, but
There,
you're like, watch.
there's no one nipping at their heels.
Okay.
The only player that has the ability to compete with them right now is Walmart.
Wow.
Yeah.
So retail,
because
retail commerce giant is going to become
'cause
an e-commerce giant.
Walmart, they already have the logistics and volume brick and mortar, and
Right.
now it's just building up the infrastructure to do the same thing online.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But yeah, Amazon is so far. I mean, I'm no predictor of the market,
Right.
but I don't see Amazon losing their number one seat for a long time.
Yeah.
But anything can happen.
It makes sense. And would you say number one in all of this is having a good product?
If you have a bad product, you're not going to win.
Okay.
I don't know if I would say that having a good product is number one. I
Can
think
good marketing
I think
of a bad
solving
product?
I think solving a problem is number one.
Got it.
If your product solves a problem,
Mm-hmm.
then you're good. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good product.
Right. I gotcha.
It could be a cheap product that solves an expensive problem.
Right.
But then what's going to happen in that situation is then a competitor is going to realize your product sucks and just make it better and then solve the problem.
They'll put better rubber on that wheel.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
man,
coming
this
on
was
the
great.
show. We love having you. It's great to see you.
Yeah.
And until next time, everybody. Hope you had some fun and learned something new today.